Yes, of course I can. Today's breakfast was a simple affair, a kind of strawberry smoothie with 2 crumpets slathered in butter and marmite. I can now hear the effects. Now I can't.
Yeah, it's great that Dan's arrived. I wasn't sure I was going to be starting with Dan, but
Oh, ye of little faith.
oh, no, they had faith.
Good morning. Marmite on crumpets?
Yeah.
Really?
Marmite on crumpets. Well, welcome to day 4 of the First Division County Championship match between Surrey and Yorkshire at the Kia Oval. Surrey overnight found themselves in a tremendously strong position. Look at that card. Yorkshire 72 runs behind, still just 4 wickets left in hand. But you will see the figure of Johnny Bairstow there, unbeaten on 64. All hopes for Yorkshire rest on him. His second half century in the match. Yesterday, Tom Laws and Jordan Clark picked up a couple of wickets. Towards the back end of the day, Yorkshire were going really okay with about 3 down, 160 odd on the board. And then suddenly, Matt Fisher made the initial breakthrough, straight through Wharton, and beautiful bit of bowling. He batted very well at Wharton. And then Laws with 2 in 2. First one caught at slip, sharp grab by Jason Roy. And then the very next ball, as plumb as you can get. Well, we think it's sort of night watcher, really, but what you're doing night watching for a number 7, I'm not quite sure. But as the Kia Oval, a smattering of fans have come in, hoping that they're going to see Surrey get those 16 points, move up to 93 points behind Nottinghamshire, cement themselves in second place. Nottinghamshire are currently embroiled in a tussle with Durham up at Chester Street. If they were to get a draw there, that's probably the absolute limit of their ambitions. That would take them up to 104 points. Surrey would then be about 11 points behind. One more round of county championship matches before we have the break, as next week Surrey take on Essex back here at the Oval. At Nottinghamshire, I suppose you might say the surprise package of the season, fuelled by Hasib Hamid, who got an unbeaten double 100 in the current match, but still it's not enough to get his side on top after Durham got 600 odd. As the players gather, and there's Rory Burns, Surrey captain. I don't know what the tactics will be. They've got 16 overs left until another new ball becomes available. Ryan Patel there alongside him, and really it's about, can they get rid of Johnny Bairstow early and finish this off, or are Yorkshire going to make life difficult for them? I'm delighted to say that I am joined by Surrey and England legend, a man who has a bar named after him, and I can't think of any higher accolade than that. Alli Brown, it's lovely to have you on board.
Yes, great to be on board.
So, I don't know how much of this game you've been able to see, but it's been another dominant performance by Surrey at home, where they are pretty much impregnable.
Yeah, I watched a little bit of the first day, but they've I think they need to win their home games. I think we've seen over the last few weeks how flat some of the wickets can be when they're playing away, and these games are very important to them. But they're in a great position today. As you said, Johnny Bairstow holds the key here. I think he'd be very positive this morning. I think as they try and erode the 72, I think that's probably the best way forward, and we're set for an entertaining morning.
Matt Revis is alongside him, who is a genuine all-rounder. Started off life more as a batter. Only started bowling when he was 17 years old. He's alongside Johnny Bairstow, and this partnership is going to be key. After this, there's Jordan Thompson, Ben Code and Jack White, so not a huge amount of batting to come. But it's always fun watching Johnny Bairstow bat. The first innings he had the standout innings. Adam Lyth also got a half century, but his 89 was quite magnificent. But what I want to see Surrey do a bit more of is probe that weakness, the weakness of the straight ball, and we've not seen that too much. Is that a function of the way Surrey's bowlers line up, tending to take the ball away from the right-hander?
Yeah, I think they'll be looking to do that today. I wouldn't be surprised if they go for a short ball policy as well. And we talked about having the amount of times that Johnny has potentially been bowled or LBW, and if he's looking for the short ball with maybe a couple of players out, that could play into Surrey's hands. But he'd be a difficult nut to crack. He's and as captain of Yorkshire as well. I think he'd be his first half hour is crucial.
Well, with Johnny Bairstow, it's all about, does he have a point to prove? And he'll always find some point to prove. I guess one of them might be the sort of perception that he's leaving Yorkshire slightly in the lurch, because he's going off to play for the Mumbai Indians. There's one more round of county championship matches, as I said, in this slew, and he's going to miss that game. And if Yorkshire do lose this game, as looks quite likely, they will be embroiled in that relegation tussle, as you saw on the county championship table that we showed you earlier. So, there'll no doubt have been mutterings from some Yorkshire fans, because county fans are very quick, aren't they, to question your loyalties to the club if you go away and play Mumbai Indians. What's that all about? So, I think he'd like to get 100 here and just show him where his loyalties really do lie. As Smith starts, the first ball of the day is a no ball. We kick off with a no ball. And for people unfamiliar with the county championship, just a reminder that no balls, it's 2 runs at the moment for a no ball. It's not possible, Ali, is it, to go to a game of cricket and have exactly the same rules and regulations. You get no balled for a wide over your head in county championship, which drives Stephen Finn mad, by the way, because it should just be a wide, shouldn't it? Apparently there are reasons which Andrew Sampson might be able to tell us. And in county championship it's 2 runs for a no ball, it's 1 elsewhere. It's all very confusing for people watching on.
But if Stephen Finn hits the stumps, I mean, how would you? Is that worth 2?
Well, it's a good point. Yes, with his knee.
That's a bit harsh.
It is a bit. Well, Graham Smith was responsible for that, wasn't he? Former Surrey legend, Graham Smith.
I was actually here for the first 8 scored of Joey Benjamin by Peter Such off a no ball.
Oh, right. He's got a little under edge on that. It's flown away fine. It's a really good bit of committed fielding by Nathan Barnwell, who's on as substitute fielder. Dan Lawrence had a bit of a back spasm on the second day, was in a lot of discomfort. And it actually showed a little yesterday when Surrey didn't have use of their spinner. So, yeah, he's left that. He's very lucky not to drag that back onto leg stump.
Perfect line to start with, though, and that's the area they would like to probe.
Right on the money. Nathan Smith. Now then, one of the other things we've been looking out for is attendance records. This can be quite dull, except that we've had huge attendances actually at the Oval in terms of county championship matches this summer, spring. We had 6,200 odd on the first day, nearly 5,000 on the second day. The record we think is a tick over 13,000. So this could be an epoch-making moment. Oh, we've done it. We've already done it. So far, 13,804 people have come, beating last year's record of 13,706 with a day to spare, which is gratifying. That is a bit of a difference, is it, from the time you were playing? I mean, people came to watch county championship cricket when you were playing in the late 90s.
They did.
2000s.
I think we averaged about 500 a day. I don't think we were, and obviously the membership in the last 3 years, Surrey have won the championship, and the membership would have got bigger throughout that.
Now, since we're privileged to have you here, Ali, one of the things I wanted to ask you about is the difference in setup, really, of this Surrey side. You played in a dominant side at the back end of the 20th century, winning 3 titles in 4 years. But that side, not based around, but it had in it 2 very prominent spin bowlers. This Surrey side that's won 3 in a row, it doesn't. With all due respect to Dan Lawrence, they're not Saqlain, Mushtaq and Ian Salisbury.
Yeah, I think it's a very...
Sorry, end of the over 189 for 6.
It's a very different side. I mean, this is more seam orientated. We were very lucky to have 2 of the best spinners around at the time, and they complemented each other beautifully as well. I mean, Saqlain had 3 years where he was, quite frankly, the best bowler I ever saw, not just played with, but played against. And Sauls backed that up perfectly. They were a great foil. I think Surrey this year, when they've gone away from home, they've ended up on some flat wickets, and they've found that difficult. They've gone for a short ball policy. We would have in our era, if the seamers were finding it difficult, suddenly, I remember playing Worcester here, and they were 200 for 1, and then Saki and Sauls come on, and the game changes. A couple of wickets, men round the bat. And then the pressure is on, and that was the difference for us. We were looking to score 400, and if the seamers up front didn't get the wickets, the spinners certainly made things happen after that.
Matt Fisher is opening from the Vauxhall end, former Yorkshire player, of course, moved to Surrey at the start of this season. So were the pitches helpful? Were they actually produced with your spinners in mind?
I wouldn't say they were actually produced with spinners in mind. I'd say that home games were good wickets. They weren't necessarily made to spin, but they were good flat wickets, and you could score your 400 runs, and they turned later on in the day. We did find that playing away, we'd end up getting our fair share of green wet ones, which appeared that it rained, but it hadn't.
But you had Martin Bignell, Ed Giddins, Jimmy Ormond, so
yeah, no, we had some excellent seamers, Joey Benjamin as well.
Yeah.
So we had a number of very good seamers, but for me personally, when you're batting, you're just thinking, can we get this number on the board? 400 would be a starting point, and you knew that Sack Lane and Sauls would make things happen.
Bit of a tempter there for Fisher, but not yet, says Johnny Bairstow, not yet. I mean, I suppose the other way that changed the approach to how you would go about winning county championship matches is that you could countenance the follow-on because you've got two spinners who can bowl a lot of overs. So for Surrey, it's very clear that they want to win, toss and bowl first because they want to bat, bowl.
Yeah.
And rather than bat and then potentially have to take 20 wickets in 2.5 days. And with 4-pronged, 5-pronged seam attack, that puts quite a lot of stress on the bowlers, doesn't it?
Absolutely. I mean, if things aren't happening, it's going to be difficult for the seamers, and by all accounts, most of the other county teams are looking to play on those flat decks. So, it's going to be hard for all the seamers. But we would have silly point in, short leg, plenty of chat, all of that. And
that's a theatre of it, though, isn't it?
Well, Adam sort of led that, and it was which was great fun. We'd have good banter with the opposition, and Saki would make things happen for us.
So is good banter with the opposition? That's code for getting in their ears, was it?
Well, it's code for polite chat.
Polite chat.
Yeah, just welcoming.
Yeah.
You know, some might say Saki's going to get you, but he did certainly have 3 years where he was just outstanding, and I was fortunate enough to sit at first slip in the sort of chair, and I knew what his duzra was. Purely for me, it was a flicker that I heard a noise, and it went slightly higher, and that was my clue. But it wasn't very easy to pick.
Because the deucer, of course, to the right hander would be bringing you into play, wouldn't it?
Yeah, I mean that was.
That's right in the block hole dugout. Well by Bairstow, but that completes a maiden, second maiden of the morning. 2 runs have been added from a no ball, but that's been it so far. 189 for 6.
Yeah, I think what was nice about Saki was you know it was coming, and you had a couple of seconds to get in position. Thinking that, especially the first couple of years that he was here, because people didn't really understand. There wasn't so much video analysis.
So was it literally a noise you could?
For me personally, it was a noise. He never actually bowled me a duzzer in the nets. And I did ask him, and he said, because one day we'll play each other. And fun enough, we did play each other, and he did get me out. So in Dubai. I mean that was the clue for me. I mean, everyone's got different clues, I think, when you're trying to pick spin.
Oh, beat the bat! The first authentic beating of the bat. Revis coming forward, and Smith just snaking that ball away from the outside edge. Yesterday morning, we actually saw a fair bit of prodigious movement under similar cloud cover. As we see this again, that's just held up nicely. Revis covering off stump, the ball just tailing away from him. Ben Code was getting the ball to move quite prodigiously yesterday morning, and then when the sun came out, it got a little bit warmer, the clouds lifted. That movement rather dissipated.
I mean, there is a bit of cloud around here today, and I think the last few days we've had, or the last week or so, we've had a lot of sunshine, so it's quite, for Surrey coming here this morning, I think if they put the ball in good areas, we have seen that little bit of movement. And I think if we keep hitting those areas, I think there's a good chance that get some reward at some time. But they're very good leaves. It's a great area to hit.
Look, this is a massive uphill task for Yorkshire, but what you would say is that the pattern of play at the Oval lately has tended to be that on the 4th day the pitch has eased. When Hampshire here a few weeks back, Surrey really struggled despite having them 3 down overnight, really struggled, and Hampshire might have got over the line in that game with an unlikely chase. In the end, bad light intervened. So Yorkshire have got to try and find those kind of crumbs of comfort, haven't they, when you're in a situation like this? I don't know how you prepare when you're 6 down as Smith comes in again.
I don't think you can look too far ahead. I think you've got to break it down into small pockets. There's obviously the 16 overs this morning before they take the potential of taking the new ball, which I would assume Surrey would take. And then it's a case of trying to seize your moment when you think the momentum changes, and then trying to if you can erase that 72. I think it'd be very hard if they don't. If they go slowly, I think it'll make it a pressure chase, because 1 or 2 wickets and that'll be it. But if they can just get a little bit ahead and create that momentum, I think that will make a big difference.
Oh, now then, has that come onto boot and into hand? No, says the umpire. We'll be able to take a look at this in a minute. That will be a freakish dismissal, but you do see him every now and then. Inside edge onto boot. What Smith is saying is that that's come straight off the boot and back to me.
It didn't look right live, but
let's take a look again. We can't really tell from that angle. I think we'd have to get a little bit closer up if we can. This might give us a bit more. No, I don't think so.
Well, you need to send that to VAR. I think it's close, but it just didn't look right live, and you can't overturn that on. There's far too much doubt.
Well, that could have been quite controversial, that one. Gets nicely forward that last ball of the over, stops it being a maiden, and will keep strike at Revis, end of the over, 190 for 6. To go back to the team that you featured in, it sort of followed more of the template of the great Surrey side of the 50s, didn't it, where you had sort of 3 medium pacers, quicker bowlers, 2 spinners, and some massive batting names. I mean, you were in a side that was almost entirely internationals. Mark Butcher, Mark Prakash.
There was a game where we actually had 13 internationals all available.
13?
13. And the players that missed out were Jimmy Ormond and Mark Butcher. And I think, for me personally, I was trying to walk as far away from the manager as possible, the coach as possible, because you didn't want that tap on the back of your shoulder, but you knew you could easily get it. And I know Butch was very disappointed with that, and but any of us could have got it. It was a lottery, and there were 13 exceptional names in there, and that was the strength we had for that game in particular. It didn't happen every week, but because we lost Alec and Graham to Test match cricket most of the time.
A little bit of shape there from Fisher, but well played by Revis.
But that was a big decision to make. Keith Medlicott made it, and I was fortunate enough he didn't tap me on the back of the shoulder, but we were lucky to have that.
What year would that have been?
2001? About 2001, yeah. I think. Yeah. And Jimmy Ormond, in his own right, was an exceptional bowler too. He came from Leicester. He was really good for us. We went with that team. I can't remember whether we won or lost. I doubt we lost, but it was the strongest team we put out.
So I'm bound to ask, how does a team, because the county championship is a low-key event, it looks like when you're watching from the outside, but for those of us tragics, it's the most important event of the actual summer. It's long, it's arduous, the best side wins. It's as simple as that. How do you maintain that hunger? Because this is what this Surrey side's got to do. They've won 3 in a row. How do you keep going to want to win and win and win?
I think that's quite an easy question to answer, because they've got the potential to even surpass the 50s side. And I think they'd be favourites for the championship this year. If you ask pretty much most players, well, if you ask me what was the highlight of my career, I would say above anything else the first year we won the championship in 1999. The reason for that is because you've got 16 games in effect. There's lots of ups and downs through the season. The best side doesn't always win, but often does. Surrey would be the strongest side in terms of depth, certainly, and quality, I guess, throughout the year. But of course, you're trying to manage some of those players in terms of when you've got other players coming back. So, we were lucky to have that era between 99 and 2001 where we won 3 county championships. But for Surrey have a better than average chance of doing 4 on the trot, and then you're going back to the 50s when there was I think 7 in there, and at that point, what do you want to be known as? Can you be known as the best side of the century? And that would be a high motivation for me if I was playing today.
And for Rory Burns, of course, if Surrey were able to pull off this county championship, that would be 5 as captain. Andrew Sampson will be able to remind me who's top of the pops. Is it Norman Yardley? Is it? It'll be a Yorkshireman, won't it? I mean, Stuart Surridge would have got 4, I think.
Surridge, I think, got 5.
5, do you think? Before
I have
Peter
to
May
find my
took
list,
over?
but I think Sellers got 6 or 7 for Yorkshire.
Okay.
I'll find the list.
Oh, nice tail back in this time to Ribby. So negotiates it comfortably. End of a maiden over. Yorkshire 190 for 6. So 4 overs this morning. Surrey yet to make the breakthrough. And if this ball's died on, folks, we're now down to 1 slip. We're down to a 68-over-old ball. And this is possibly where Surrey will feel the loss of Dan Lawrence, isn't it? Because generally speaking, what Rory Burns will do normally in these situations is Dan Lawrence will come on bowl 5 or 6 overs from one end. He can slightly rotate seams from the other end, so he's got freshness when he takes a new ball in 12 overs time when it becomes available.
I think that's going to be the key period when they take the new ball, because if they can get to that point, and then you've got a new harder ball, I think that's when the attack might come. It's where the wickets might come. It's also when scoring opportunities become more as well. And I think if they're going to break that down, that would have given them probably 45 minutes to potentially get in this morning. I think Surrey have bowled very well. I think they've hit some good areas. There's been movement, it's well poised.
Again, nice shape into Bairstow. Andrew.
2 Yorkshire captains with 7.
7.
2 Yorkshire captains.
And now these are legitimate 7s, right? So this is post 1890, yes.
One of them only just post 1890. You should be able to get that one.
Lord Hawke.
Lord Hawke got 7.
Yes.
And then Brian Sellers, mostly in the 30s, also got 7 for Yorkshire. Next on the list is Surridge on 5. And then in joint 4th place on 4, Brian Close and Rory Burns.
So the reason we bring this up is we're looking at motivations. Now, of course, a side can't win on purely the motivation of its captain, but if you have a captain like Rory Burns, I mean, this is one of the strengths of Surrey. They've got players who have played for England, of England quality, who, let's be honest, are very unlikely to be selected again, certainly under the current regime. Someone like Hasib Hamid isn't getting a look in, and he's got 200 or 270 balls the other day. So when you can have those kind of players and have them regularly, which to a degree your side will have had, although fair few of you were being called up, and that's what Surrey are trying to balance here, isn't it? They've got a bunch of players like Dan Lawrence, Dominic Sibley, Rory Burns, who are currently out of favour with the England setup, but then they've got key players missing today, like Ollie Pope, Jamie Smith. I suppose, does that help to keep a squad kind of hungry because you've got that many more players who are going to get a look in? I suppose that can be moderately helpful.
I think there's parts of it where in our era where we won 3 out of 4, Leicester were a very good side in that era. They didn't have the strength and depth that potentially we had, but they did have a squad of 13, so you didn't have that rotation, which actually meant that people knew their roles. And they played very well within that. They beat us here. I think one of the years, I can't remember which one it was, if we'd beaten Leicester in the last game of the season, we would have won the county championship. But I actually went in, the score was 0 for 3. Oof. So they put on a big partnership, and they were very, very good side. So you've got two thoughts really. One of a side where you've got less of a side. You've got the coach, the manager has got to make less decisions, to leave some players out that would perhaps irritate players as they might go down to the second team. And then you've got a Surrey squad that is full of talent and depth. And then you've got an embarrassment of riches, but you're trying to keep everyone happy. So you'll be leaving some players out. How do you keep them all happy? But they're a great bunch. They all get on very well, and they're the success rate is high.
Oh my word, that has died again. It's bounced almost twice in front of Ben Folkes, which will be a combination of ball getting soft, but also just that pitch maybe just dying a little bit. I suppose another perception, and I don't know whether this is a true perception, but the one that we have now is that quicker bowlers don't really like to play that often if they can possibly avoid it. They get rotated more and more. Now, the umpire here, Newell, has decided he doesn't like this ball. He's showing it to umpire Milnes to put it through the slots. It's got to go through one and not through the other. We, of course, have no idea which slot it is, and it's got to go through which one it isn't. Or do you know, Andrew?
No, I don't know things like that, but I do know how to look up the odd scorecard.
Oh, yes.
1998 it was that you're talking about.
Yeah.
0 for 3. What you didn't mention was in reply to 585 for 6 declared that Leicestershire
Oh,
made.
crikey.
No, I find when you retire, you try and forget parts of that. But we were going all right, and then they put in a big partnership. I think someone scored a double hundred. I can't remember who that was, but there was a double hundred in there, and I think we started off quite well. I think we got 3 wickets and then it all went a bit pear-shaped from there.
74 for 3. Then Ben Smith double 100, 204. After Habib and Paul Nixon got hundreds as well.
Yes.
And then Surrey 0 for 3, and not surprisingly went on to lose by an innings.
Yeah, I thought I was quite fortunate not to get out for naught in that game as well.
What did he get?
3.
3. Okay.
12 in the second innings.
Let's not bring back unpleasant memories for our guest today. Don't you think?
It's enough of that.
I think that was that game. I think we didn't actually lose it there. I think we lost it at Bristol, not Bristol. We played Gloucester, at Cheltenham, I think.
Yeah.
And a game we should have won, but we didn't, and that was probably the reason getting to that game, we had to win that last game, and we were in a position to do it. But I think by the time we batted and we knew that we were done. Not that we were trying to all get low scores, but I think the balloon had burst by that point.
And of course, Surrey hadn't won a title since the early 70s, had they, at that point?
No, and I think we put a lot into probably the first 13 games, and as I said, Gloucester was a game we should have won, and I think we had opportunities. They put on a decent partnership for the last 2 wickets, I think, and
he's very quick, isn't he? Don't you think?
Yeah,
sometimes. 297. Surrey batted first at Cheltenham, and then bowled Gloucestershire out for 167, so a lead of 130. And Surrey just 135 in the second innings. And then Gloucestershire 266 for 8 to win by 2 wickets.
Oh, nice shape in again. Just a little bit of swing with this old ball. End of the over, 191 for 6. Surrey still hunting that breakthrough. Now, there's a lot of talk at the moment. I know I'm bombarding you with questions, but partly we don't know how long we've got you for, because this game could move forward very quickly as we see this again. There's just nice tail back into Johnny Best. They played it really well. There's a lot of talk about the amount of cricket that's played, and again, try to divorce perception from reality, but as a child it seemed to me that you guys were on the move constantly. You had a variety of different white ball tournaments that were being interspersed with Sunday leagues and whatnot, being interspersed with plenty of county championship cricket. 16 games. There's talk of reducing to 12 going on at the moment. Do you feel you guys played too much cricket? Because the players talking now are talking about workloads. They're talking about a chaotic schedule, about having to charge around the country with the T20 happens, the fact that we've got these 8 rounds of county championship matches, of which each team plays 7, starting at the beginning of April to the end of May. Do you have sympathy with where they're coming from?
I think a perfect number, I thought, when I played, was probably around about 12. In terms of, back in the day we used to play a 4-day game. It'd be three championship days, a 1-day game, and then the 4th day on the 5th day, if that makes sense. Yes.
So
that was a bit weird, because you could potentially on the 1-day game get over to the 4-day wicket and even though it's covered up, and try and start scratching it or something like that. Anyway, that was a kind of a weird perception.
I can't believe you would do such a thing.
Well, we didn't do that, and there would be
your opponents. Yeah.
There would be a mat down, but you could.
Right.
It was weird that you split the game up like that. So 75% of the game is played, then you play a one-day game, and then and that would have probably gone on until, I mean, I know that was happening in 1992. That was definitely happening.
Well, it was a frequent feature of the 70s, wasn't it? You'd have 2 3-day games and a Sunday league game. You could find yourself playing 7 days a week. And Graham Fowler talks about playing. You play on the Saturday, county championship match. Oh, now then, that's flown off the shoulder of the bat. He's done well. Has he done well, or has he been a little bit fortunate to keep that down? But that could have gone pretty much anywhere. First signs of the ball just leaping a bit on Bairstow. He's looking suspiciously at both pitch and bat and umpire. So what happened there? But in the end, he's played it pretty well. He's tried to get his hands down. And he had no idea it was going there. You could see in his face. But he gets away with it.
Yeah.
But sorry, just to go back to Foxy, he had this extraordinary schedule. That's nicely played, just pick up the single, where he found himself in Southampton on the Saturday, and then up to Southport for the Sunday, and then back down to Southampton to continue the 3-day game. Now that is clearly insane.
Yeah, I don't think we ever really had anything like that, but you would, I mean, there were times, I suppose, we might go to Glamorgan, we might play at Sophia Gardens, you might play a one-day game at Neath or something like that, but it's not like you were going, far away. I mean, my perception would be that
he's got that away, and that's going to be the first boundary of the day. One-handed pull, square of the wicket, a ball that didn't quite get up. We've seen here just a little bit of variation in bounce. You might expect that on the 4th day. One that's reared on Bairstow, and then this one, it's kept a little bit low on him, hence why that bottom hand has come off.
I mean, the older ball is going to come off a little bit softer. And as I said, we have seen a few low balls out there. But getting back to the 12 as a perfect number, I think if you with 16, if you have a small squad, if you've got a larger squad, you can cope with that better, because you can have some of your seamers and maybe playing 8 games, and then you're resting. I mean, I remember playing Gladstone Small here actually, and he was generally about 80 miles an hour throughout most of his career, but for his last year they played him 1 game in 3, and that 1 game was against us, and in terms of that, he was a lot quicker in that game because he'd been rested. And I think if you are, especially from a seamer's point of view, if you are constantly bowling, there's going to be a point where you're just trying to save yourself a little bit. You might have a niggle at halfway through the season.
That's nicely driven. Didn't really time it. Substitute Nathan Barnwell is after it. But, they'll still pick up 3. Good running and just slightly more aggressive approach as Yorkshire bring up their 201 for 6. That deficit now down to 53.
Yeah, so I think what are you looking for if you want the best quality of cricket or the best players available, rather than trying to leave some out? I don't know what that magic number is, but I think 12 to 14 is probably how that is done. It's probably way past my pay grade, but
they're discussing it at the moment, and county fans are obviously fearful, because for the members, county championship cricket is the thing, isn't it? We've seen it here at Kia Oval. Surrey are very fortunate to have such a large membership base, and well attended 4-day cricket, but that isn't the case necessarily across the country.
Yeah, I mean, you could argue if you came down 12 games and Surrey's 6 away games played on very flat wickets, of which they were all draws, and it rained a little bit for their home games, you could say that gives an advantage to other people, but having a lesser games as part of the structure.
Yes, I guess it would bring sides closer together, wouldn't it? Though we've got a very competitive county championship taking place this year. Worcestershire winning against Essex yesterday means that every side in the county championship Division 1 has now won a game. The difference between top and bottom seems lower to me, or at least let's say between 2nd actually and 9th feels a lot closer than it has done in recent years by this stage of the season, which hints at a very healthy competition. There will be changes. We know that counties are meeting inside the MCC to look at the structure of the county championship in future years. But it does all come freighted with terror for county fans.
Well, you'll have some counties that will vote for more and some counties that will favour less. So you end up voting for probably what's best for you. What's best for the player is probably somewhere in the middle. That you want the best players, the best quality that you can get out there, for each match.
That is nicely played, but good bit of fielding at mid-on by Jordan Clark. Just feeling his shoulder there when he dived for that. Prevents a run. So we're up to nearly just over half an hour today. Yorkshire have gone on relatively serenely. A couple of balls have beaten the bat. We just see Jordan Clark just grimacing ever so slightly around that shoulder. That has been cut away beautifully by Bairstow to finish the over. Lovely shot, bit of whip from Fisher and punished. Yorkshire at the end of the over, 205 for 6.
That's his first run.
Yeah, pretty much, yeah. Oh no, second. He had a pull through squarely. One hand.
So a sign of aggression there from Bairstow, completing the previous over, and a change of bowling for Surrey from the pavilion end. Ryan Patel, the lesser spotted in recent seasons, to bowl some medium pace and to try and get in the head of Bairstow perhaps. Gentle.
Well, you say gentle, but sometimes as a batter, you can ease your concentration a little bit, and that can bring a wicket. He'll be, he won't be as quick, but sometimes that's when I think you'll find that Yorkshire will be looking to potentially be a bit more aggressive.
Totally. I mean, I love that there's still room in the game for a genuine medium pacer. Don't see it too often. Keeper up to the stumps and so on. Nice shapes as well. Just a little bit of drift away from the right-hander.
I mean, the wicket's been a little bit low, I think, today. The older ball has obviously accentuated that. But yeah, it's times like this that you actually need to hold your concentration, because sometimes, I think you found Surrey today have bowled very tightly, and there might be a little bit more opportunity to score.
It's worth noting that Ryan Patel does have an extraordinary best bowling analysis in first-class cricket. I'm sure Andrew Sampson will pad this out, but going back to the start of his professional journey, taking the extraordinary figures of 6 for 5 against Somerset, but barely bowled in the last couple of years. Indeed, it's been over a year since he's been given a go by Rory Burns.
Well, a lot of that can be enforced by Dan Lawrence. I mean, Dan Lawrence could well have been bowling in this period. And of course, bringing Ben Foakes up to the stumps, there's, I would say, well, Ben is the best keeper in the country, very Jack Russell-esque. Don't be surprised if there's a potential leg side stumping. It could also come into the mix.
Here's Dan Lawrence in the beanie up on the balcony. That back complaint when he was batting on day 2. Got to 31. Did it the hard way. An important partnership there with Curtis Patterson that laid the foundation, but isn't taking any further part in the match. Andrew Sampson.
Yeah, it was Guildford in 2018 against Somerset. Took 6 for 5 in 3.5 overs, but it was even more impressive.
Finishes his first over here, a maiden as well. 205 for 6 remains the score.
He said he completed his 5-4 in his first 11 balls. 5 for 4 he had at that stage.
Well, give us a statistical, well, rather a historical lens on that.
Yeah.
Quickest fifers?
Well, it's obviously one of those we don't know because there isn't ball-by-ball history of the whole of cricket. But I remember at the time looking at it and not finding anyone who'd got a quicker fifer. I mean, that doesn't mean it's the quickest ever, but I haven't found a quicker one.
Did we not go through this process when Broad took a fifer in 25 balls or something absurd like that?
I mean,
in
Test
2015
cricket,
at Trent Bridge?
So in Test cricket, there's a lot more ball-by-ball data and stuff like that. And, I mean, we did go through those kind of process. Test record is 17, if I remember correctly.
Right.
But yeah, so I mean, there was quite a lot of excitement about Patel, especially as a part-timer, effectively.
Slapped into point. So changing field here and a changing dynamic a little bit for Laws with, would you call that a third slip, fourth slip, the only catching man behind the wicket?
Yeah, I mean, I think Yorkshire are trying to, they're not going to be too loose at the moment. I think when the new ball comes, I think we're going to see more attacking fields and a chance to score more.
On the up and catch it rightly was the call. Didn't quite reach Patel there. Not far away.
Yeah, I mean, but the field is good. I mean, extra cover, short extra cover is in the game. I think Johnny that'll be in his mind. He's going to seize on anything with any width, I think, and put that away and try and push anything straight down the ground towards mid-off. But
picks out point for a second time in the over.
And third slip as well. I mean, if there is a bit of width, you expect it to potentially go a little bit wider. So a good field while we wait for the new ball to arrive in a few overs' time.
Partnership now 36. Samo.
Going into that game, Patel's first-class career record was 2 wickets for 247 runs. So he improved it a bit.
I know what that feels like. Yeah, I just didn't get the 6 for.
Yeah.
Who was your quintessential? Well, the role Ryan Patel's playing now. When you were in your career at Surrey, who would perform that kind of keeper up to the stumps, a few overs before the second new ball type of thing?
Adam Hollyoake actually
of course.
was probably the player. He also used to have knuckleballs and various other deliveries that he would bring. In fact, we had a game against Yorkshire, which was probably our biggest, a win from nowhere. Where Yorkshire, I think, needed 29 to win after lunch with 9 wickets left, and they didn't achieve it. And Adam was the one who did quite a lot of the bowling. And our field was similar to this, almost closer as the wicket started to fall.
Back-to-back maidens. Nice tail back to Bairstow to finish there from Laws. Acknowledged by the crowd. 205 for 6. So taking 29 runs to play with, 9 wickets in hand, and they've botched it. That must go down as one of the great Surrey Yorkshire finishes. I'm sure Andrew Sampson can acquire that card quite quickly and send it around.
We won by 1 run.
1 run?
1 run, yeah.
When you consider how many first-class games there have been over a couple of 100 years plus now, and how many of them have been resolved by 1 run.
I think that's, for me, that's what made Adam Hollyoake such an outstanding captain, that he actually believed that it could happen, and he managed to convince 10 non-believers that it could also happen. He just said, look, if we get Moxon out and Bevan, they're going to take the gas, and we did get Moxon out, and then we got Bevan out, and you could feel that pressure throughout that.
One run win in a 4-day game. That's remarkable.
Well, the game actually finished. Robinson, who was their number 11. I can't remember who was bowling it, but we all appealed for. There was a noise behind, and we all appealed for LBW. Robinson showed his bat to Peter Willey and said, "I hit it," and we said, "Well, we caught it," and Peter Willey said, "Well, that's out then," and we won by 1 run.
Looking at it here, there've been about 20 odd 1-run margins ever on the chart I'm looking at. Finds deep point. How many exactly, Andrew?
I'll check that now, but in 1995, that's the game you're talking about.
Okay.
Just to confirm that, Yorkshire were 185 for 3, chasing 219 to win. All out 217. Hollyoak 4 for 22 in 10 overs, including Robinson caught butcher bowled Hollyoak for naught at the end.
He actually gave himself out.
Mm.
So by saying, "I hit it," and we said, "Well, we caught it," and that was the win.
Must have been a great night out.
Well, it finished about 40 minutes after lunch.
Even
so,
ooh, way wide. Folks showing his athleticism to save 4. What would have been 4 byes.
that is an outstanding bit of keeping.
Especially when you couldn't possibly be expecting it.
No.
That far down leg.
Yeah, I think Ben Folkes as a keeper, I wouldn't want to be leaving the crease for. And this sort of bowling is, when you're trying to get yourself forward, is the sort of thing you can take your back leg out of the crease.
Retains the strike as well. 207 for 6. So still trailing by 50. 85 overs remaining today. We'll say goodbye to Ali. We'll catch up with you in the middle session, provided the game's still going in the middle session.
Well, at this rate, it may well be.
It may well be.
So, yeah.
Enjoy a cup of tea as I bring Cameron Ponsonby in to replace you. This morning so far, Yorkshire have advanced from 185 to 207 for 6. Can they find a way to hold on tight and drag this deep with their captain Johnny Bairstow? He's on strike, hitter laws. Away from us, Vauxhall End. No interest from the bowler. Cam Ponsonby jumps in for the first time today. Morning.
Good morning, Adam. How are you doing?
Never better.
I thought I was onto something yesterday and had come to a good theory about Surrey getting the ball to swing late with reverse swing.
Plenty of it, wasn't there, late in the day?
And I thought I'd correlated it and found out that it happened just after Johnny Bairstow had hit those 2 sixes off Matt Fisher. So I did some journalism.
Change of field here, 3 slips. So 2 games going on here. Field spread for Bairstow, Corden packs for Revis.
So I did some journalism and got someone to ask one of the Surrey lads, kind of, was that what happened? Did the ball get hit into the stands and get a scuff mark and all of a sudden it started to reverse? And they said no. They said it just went out of shape and we got a new one. And that one did heaps. So more ball change drama at the Oval.
Yeah, boxer balls here at the Oval. It's one of my favourite subsets of conversations we have here when balls come out here. Specifically here, it's something about the Oval and changes of balls. Before you jumped on, we were talking about 1-run margins, which is what Surrey defeated Yorkshire by in a game in 1995, where they picked up 9 for 28 to win the game.
Blimey.
Yeah, quite. And Andrew Sampson's perhaps going to add some more to this. He's been rolling through the card.
Yeah, I mean, we looked through that card where they were chasing 219, all out for 217, having been 185 for 3. But in terms of 1-run wins in the history of first-class cricket, there have been a total of 35, which is roughly one every 1,800 games.
Love it. Thank you. And 1 test match, Adelaide 93?
Adelaide 93 is another one. I'll check that.
It's the only I can remember as being 1 run. Edge doesn't carry.
Was New Zealand beating England in Wellington? Was that 1 run?
Yeah.
That was 1 run. It joined it. Yeah, good from you. You were there, weren't you?
I was there.
Yeah.
I wouldn't remember.
A real I was there
otherwise.
moment.
Yeah.
The the ball before it where Jimmy was bounced and the ball went about 3 feet over his head, not signalled a wide.
I think morally that was the correct decision from the umpire. You can't end the game like that.
Oh, that's close. That's got to be out. Yep. Laws getting it going both ways this morning. He's a bowler of real class. Partnership of 39 comes to an end. Surrey now 3 wickets away from victory.
No, superb fast bowling from Laws here. He got the ball moving away from Revis early on in the over, and that one's just darted back into the right-hander. Surrey have got this ball to talk, both yesterday evening and now this morning. The 7th Yorkshire wicket falls. So Yorkshire 208 for 7. And we'll be... So, next batter on their way down for Yorkshire, Jordan Thompson.
They batted well together, that pair, just to see off the immediate threat on morning 4, but seeing here the length of the delivery, no way it was going over the top. It was hitting one place, that's halfway up middle. We saw the late swing from Laws yesterday, moving it both ways for 2 different types of wickets, and so it proves again on morning 4. So Jordan Thompson down the steps, out into the middle as the sun peeks through for the first time today. Tom Laws collecting his 3rd wicket, having a real say at the business end of this match.
We were talking yesterday about Tom Law's strike rate. It's about 42 in first-class cricket, and he's shown exactly why he takes his wickets so quickly over the last kind of session and a half of cricket. He's happy to try anything, outswingers, in-swingers. Went short late last night, chucked a couple of Yorkers in as well.
And just loves bowling at the Oval. Takes his wickets at 22 here at home, couple of fifers. And just what you want from the old ball as well, isn't it, Cam, that Surrey possess a bowler who can get it to reverse and can get it to go late. Only 23 balls away from the new Dukes and other options that Rory Burns will have at his disposal, but that's just a bonus.
It's one of the great accepted variables of the sport. There are some things where it's deemed unfair and unsafe, like kind of light fading slightly. You can't possibly carry on playing. But this ball for Surrey, this new old ball to be precise, has done wonders for them. Yorkshire still 48 behind.
Edged and doesn't quite get there. Nearly did. Jason Roy there at first. Patel hands on heads. Oh, nearly picked up a wicket for the first time in over a year. Thompson throwing his hands at it.
Ryan Patel can feel a little bit hard done by. He used to bowl very regularly for Surrey.
Yeah.
Kind of made his name with a 6-wicket haul at Guildford.
Yeah, we were talking about that briefly when he came on, that he was a bit of an all-rounder, you know, old school all-rounder in as far as he'd come on for a couple of overs most innings, but not seen for over a year at the bowling crease until today.
I always think it's quite spectacular. You see his bowling statistics. He's got 7 first-class wickets in the last 6 years, and he got 6 of them in about the space of 20 minutes.
Fully to Johnny Bairstow. You can, on a different day, in a different place, in a different match situation, that ends up on the moon. He's faced 100 balls now, Bairstow. Just returning to Laws, very fact that he was taken on a Lions tour as a very young man, 21-year-old, went away a couple of winters ago. Got that direct FaceTime, if I recall correctly, with Jimmy Anderson, who was working with him for a period of time there. Does share some similarities with the way he hoops it around, without wanting to put too big expectations on the young fella, but that's not for nothing. 77 gone to 11 for 7.
That's interesting, because I was going to pluck out another name there. I was going to go for Andrew Flintoff.
Oh, Flintoff as well. He coached that team, didn't he? Yeah.
Flintoff and Laws kind of struck up a kind of mentor-mentee relationship, I believe. I think Laws has kind of had the mickey taken out of him a little bit by his peers, that kind of he's managed to become pals with one of the greats. I think if you've got Laws and Anderson in your corner.
I think there was that line from Flintoff about Laws reminding him of Jimmy at the same age. There's a line somewhere that would help with that mick taking that you're referring to, as is the way in cricket dressing rooms. Yeah, made a real impression a couple of seasons ago. He bowled out Kent here, Cam, on a beautiful Saturday morning where not much was going on, and an hour later the game was over, 5 for 22, and bowled that absolute house down. Picked up a couple of internationals in Zach Crawley and Sam Billings in that spell.
Flintoff then signed him for the Northern Superchargers when he was in charge. Got like the £50,000 bracket, which I'm sure boosted Laws' year a little bit.
Oh yeah? What's that nightclub in Clapham?
Yeah, well, I do actually know the answer to that.
Of course you do. Wide down the leg side. Is Inferno's?
It is Inferno's. Inferno's getting what I assume is the first name check on the Surrey live stream. Maybe the second or third.
I'm about a decade too old to really, I'm sure you've seen it though, Cam.
I have seen both the inside and outside of Inferno's nightclub. That's fine.
See it once on the way up and once on the way down kind of venue.
No, I think that was I mean, if we really want to do Surrey cricket players' nightclubs of choice, we can do that on air or off air. I don't know what's most appropriate.
What was that line? Oh, short. Not a huge amount of venom in it with the old ball, but just providing Thompson with something to think about. That line, was it Zach Crawley or was it Ollie Pope? Looking at the back of the box for some validation of this. That line a couple of years ago.
King of Clapham.
The King of Clapham. We run Clapham. We run Clapham. It was some extraordinary line. Was it Pope to...
it was either Pope to Crawley or vice versa, presenting their 50th Test cap.
Right, there you go. Short again. And can't quite work it. There's 3 men back on the leg side, which is why Laws is feeling comfortable banging it in on that angle. 2 catching men on the offside, but yeah, fine leg, a deep backward square and a deep square all out to the long side of the ground. But it did prompt. Yeah. Well, what does that mean exactly? Where are the? Is Revolution another one there or something like that? Is there one?
Vodka Revs is there. I'm so happy I'm in my element here.
Yeah, well, you're of a certain age and grew up in a certain part of London. Shot. Won't get full value, but we'll get a third.
Now, I think years ago, Ollie Pope went on the Grade Cricketer podcast.
Seen that back here. Full enough to trust his wrists with nobody at mid-on.
Pope went on the Grade Cricketer podcast and kind of jokingly referred to himself as the King of Clapham there. Then I imagine Crawley might have moved in not too long after, and as a pair, they're sharing the mantle now.
Ooh, back off the seam. That wasn't reverse swing. That was the old ball jagging back towards the off stump. Ends the over. 2:15 for 7. We're 2 away from the second new one being due. Reverse angle here. It might have taken a 4th stump.
Bairstow's been far more, I feel like responsible is the wrong word. I don't think he was irresponsible yesterday. He was very good at being able to manipulate the strike late in the day when the ball was moving considerably and he also took the attack to Fisher when Surrey went short at him. Between this pair, they probably need to get the bulk of the runs to make Surrey bat again.
If they'd only not lost those 3 late wickets yesterday, Yorkshire, it could be a different kind of energy here. We saw Hampshire bat out the entirety of the final day here back in April. And Surrey bowled well that day. That was a top contest between bat and ball. They had the extra wickets in hand and they lost a couple of night watchmen on evening 3. Oh, through him! Ryan Patel gets a wicket. And it's the big one of Bairstow. Full and straight and castles him off stump out of the ground, and don't they love it? Into bowl a few overs before the second year ball. First time he's got a chance at the bowling crease in over a year. And he leaves Surrey 2 away from victory.
Oh, what a moment for Ryan Patel. You can see just how much it means to both him and his teammates. Jason Roy giving him the biggest hug. That's a proper wobbler to get Johnny Bairstow. A little bit of swing, a little bit of nip, and Bairstow has to go.
So Bairstow leaves the field for 77. Surrey 2 away from victory at 2:16 for 8. So Bairstow 89 and 77 in the game. But all eyes on Ryan Patel, the big beaming smiles of his Surrey colleagues. He's been around this club a long time, Ryan Patel. A lot of love for him, what he was able to achieve with the bat last year. A couple of crucial centuries in games that defined their 3rd championship on the trot.
I interviewed Ryan Patel only a couple of weeks ago. He was awarded his county cap over the winter, and he was talking about how proud he was to have achieved that accolade.
So Ben Coate in. Yorkshire still 41 away from making Surrey bat another time. Ryan Patel in the book, as you say. Cam recently capped. Was it last year he was capped by the?
It was at the end of season dinner. He
Yep.
kind of finally, I say finally, he's been at the club since he was 8 years old, been
Yes.
professional for 7 or 8 years. And I kind of asked him whether it had been bugging him at all that he hadn't quite achieved the award.
Gosh, ever so close to being on a hat-trick there. We know he's got form taking wickets in clumps, Ryan Patel. The hat-swinging Yorker, have that.
I tell you what, I wonder if Ben Coate's back foot just twitched a little bit as that ball passed as well. That ball was swung around a corner.
See Jason Roy at first slip. Falling straight over in disbelief. Off the mark. Andrew Sampson.
And still no first-class century, or any century actually,
Yes.
at the Oval for Johnny Bairstow. 20 innings now, highest of 95 in first-class cricket, and he's also had 9 one-day and T20 innings without 100.
It's a quirky thing, that Bairstow on this ground,
Yep.
isn't it?
Yep.
Batted well in both innings, but
Yeah, I mean, his average here is 39.8 in first-class cricket, just no hundreds.
in behind it. Funny thing, those county caps, aren't they? They're not given out lightly. There's a beautiful piece written by Tanya Aldred a couple of weeks ago on The Guardian in relation to county caps and the process of them. There's no sort of fixed term usually on when you get it. It's a vibes thing. Alex Stewart, who makes the calls here at the Oval. So when you've earned it, you've really earned it. Completes a successful over for Ryan Patel, knocking over Johnny Bairstow. 2:17 for 8, and the crowd love it.
I think that was exactly Patel's point. Is he didn't want to receive that accolade, which is subjective to a degree. Well, basically it means if Alex Stewart deems you worthy. He made 2 crucial centuries last year that secured Surrey the title, went a long way to doing so. And after 20 years of the club as boy and man, received his county cap. Are we having a swap?
Yeah, I'll leave it with you, Cam. Daniel Norcross replacing me.
Well, Tom Laws is going to continue from the Vauxhall end.
It's the 80th over.
Goodness me.
By the way Ryan Patel is bowling, Well, maybe give him the new ball. Oh, right in the block hole, which is where you want to bowl at Ben Code. There's only Jack White left. That wicket, a huge wicket, after a fallow first half an hour. Surrey have picked up those 2 quick wickets, 2 overnight batters you see there. But a tail still from Laws. Is that reverse? Is it conventional?
Yeah, I don't think Surrey wants to change this ball. I think they'll be very content to keep this one going for as long as they can.
As long?
As they can.
Oh, now then. It's flicked the pad, but it was tailing down the leg side. Umpire Newell is not moved, except to maybe stretch a neck. Wasn't really a concerted appeal, but it's late movement. It's not far away from the leg stump. I think you're right. I think the ball they've got at the moment is one that's just doing more than a little bit. The ball to get rid of Johnny Bairstow was a cracker from Ryan Patel. So, well. Meanwhile, up in Chesterley Street,
Yes.
do we have any news? Because there is a game which could have some consequence for this year's county championship. A 3rd wicket has gone down. Freddie McCann, impressive youngster, has gone 114 for 3 knots. Still 143 behind.
Tell you what, it's England's Bryden Carse. He's taken that wicket, and it's another beauty. He got Haseeb Hamid with a ball that left the right-hander dramatically. Now he's got one to leave the left-hander dramatically.
He's going for a few runs, but he's picked up 2 for 40 so far today. And the consequences for the county championship, I can try to illustrate for you after this ball. Should Nottinghamshire lose, Surrey move to within 3 points, I think, of Notts in 2nd place behind Notts 96. Now, of course, if Notts get 8 points, they'll go into this last round 11 points clear. But that is, that's less than a win, and the 2 sides will play each other at some point in the season.
Well, you'd hope so.
Well, because they haven't already played them. Had they played them already, they might not play them again. It's the nature of this slightly lopsided division. 217 for 8. 80 overs have gone. Now, all eyes on Rory Burns. Is he going to want the new ball? We'll keep our eye on that. Just taking a look at the table. So Surrey currently sit on 77 points. Were they to win this game, which you'd have to say looks highly probable, they'd move to 93 points. Nottinghamshire have 96. With the new ball, Jordan Clark. Well, we have our answer, thanks to the ground announcer. Jordan Clark into the attack. Patel having taken the big wicket of Johnny Bairstow. Thanks very much. He's been whipped out of the attack. So yes, now if Durham were to win that puts them in the mix as well. They'd be up to 80 points, just 16 points behind the leaders. So things getting very, very bunched indeed. And Yorkshire are down at the bottom. Well, not the very bottom, Worcestershire at the bottom, but Worcestershire won that game against Essex. Yorkshire just 13 points away from bottom spot. As Jordan Clark with the new ball comes in, 3 slips in place as the sun starts to shine.
Well, if I was Ryan Patel, I'd be lodging a formal complaint with someone about this decision to whip me off.
There is a table, just to confirm what we were saying. So that is, where you see the stars, those are games that are still going on, and all the bonus points have been added. So what's left is whether it's 16, 8 or nothing that you get. 16 for the win, 8 for the draw. Nothing, of course, if you lose.
You see that new ball just skipping on off the surface in a way that the old ball didn't. You also don't see it swinging round corners the way the old ball did. I'm very upset about this.
You liked that
I
old
enjoyed
ball,
that.
didn't you? Do you think we can get it for you?
I'd appreciate that.
Shall we try and hunt down that ball? Because you loved that
The
ball.
last 25 overs of cricket we've had here at the Kia Oval have been so entertaining. Because you've had Laws being able to really attack for wickets, hunt for wickets with every ball he's bowling. You're seeing Nathan Smith kind of sporadically and erratically getting one ball to swing dramatically back into the right-hander. That one went a little bit, but I liked it before when it was a bit more.
Yes, well, actually, the very new ball, everyone gets very excited by a new ball,
Yep.
like they do about a new child. When a new child comes into this world, but they're essentially incredibly dull for 2 or 3 years, much like a new ball is pretty unremarkable, isn't it, until it's 3 or 4 overs old at the very least.
And people are much more excited about the first new ball than the second new ball.
Yes,
like children as well.
That's also true, yes. Once you get down to the 4th new ball, in my case, then it's really entirely ignored. That's almost made me want to ask Andrew Sampson what the most new balls have ever been used in an innings in first-class cricket. But he's given a sort of eyebrow raise to that.
Yes, we don't have records of when new balls were all taken and things, but I'll have a look at. I'll try and remember what the longest innings it probably was in that
Victoria
timeless test.
Oh, timeless test.
Yeah. I'll have a look.
Sorry, this is shorthand. It's a fine shot with the new ball coming off the bat quite quickly. He hasn't timed it perfectly. Burns is going to cut it off just inside the boundary sponge, but they'll get back for 3. Yes, I'm sorry. When geeks like Andrew and I say Victoria, we're referring to the 1,107.
Yep.
That was scored by Victoria in one game.
Of course, sorry.
Yes.
I've caught up, thank you.
That lead now down to 35. It's still a long way for Yorkshire to go, but... Oh, he's dragged it on. Code's gone. Clark gets a wicket with the new ball. Nelson has struck and Yorkshire are on the brink at 222 for 9. Just hanging his bat out there, Code. Inside edge back onto the stumps. And 3 wickets have fallen for 14 runs. And Yorkshire's resistance is nearly broken.
Now a tame dismissal for Code. Just a gentle delivery from Jordan Clark. Outside off stump. A little bit of swing. Code has a prod and the ball trickles back onto his stumps. Yorkshire 222 for 9.
Expertly done, Cam.
Thank you very much, Daniel.
So like an absolute pro. Well, you are a pro.
Oh, sometimes part-time.
Well, you're getting paid for it.
Yeah. I just love learning, Daniel. That's where I place myself.
Sponge, aren't you?
I know. I still categorise you as personally supportive, professionally sabotaging at most times.
I think I'd like to say that's probably about right. But I'm very much looking forward to Andrew's answer. We're going to get it shortly before the 10th wicket falls. Jack White walking out, the number 11 for Yorkshire. Just 1 more wicket to fall for Surrey to collect their 2nd win of the season, their 2nd at the Kia Oval, and leapfrog up into 2nd place. Just 3 points currently behind the leaders Nottinghamshire. This table is really bunching. And he's at the crease because Ben Code has just been dismissed, dragging one back on. I say drag on, it was barely a drag on, it was a deflect on, really. The ball just deflecting off the bat and clipping the bail. Rory Burns would be delighted. Cameron Ponsonby alongside me was desperately keen to keep the old ball. He'd rather fallen in love with that ball, but the new ball's done the job. You see there, it's sort of unlucky, but at the same time, it was a limp shot from Code. You saw when he walked off, just how furious he was. Slammed his bat into his pad. And now, Tom Laws is going to continue. He's in the middle of a good spell. Looking to wrap up this innings. Now, they're not going to take the single, so this is interesting. Jordan Thompson thinks that he can perhaps marshal the strike for the best part of 70 overs.
Well, this also seems quite almost like cruel and unnecessary punishment from Surrey, because they're 1 wicket away from victory. They've got a new ball in hand, and rather than trying to nick Jordan Thompson off, they've gone 3 fielders out on the leg side boundary, Rory Burns under the lid, and they've decided to go short at Yorkshire's, well, number 9 in this instance.
He's climbed into that and hammered it away to the boundary. You can hear the sound as it banged into the stands. And sort of cover drive for 6 from Jordan Thompson. So that's why he wanted to keep strike. He wants to have a bit of fun.
That's a remarkable shot from Jordan Thompson. I can't imagine that was the plan from Tom Laws. Bowling to a kind of 3-6 field.
Well, it's an odd field for Laws because he's a nick-off merchant, isn't he, really? And yet he's got a forward short leg, a long leg, a deep square leg just in front of square, and mid-wicket. And he's got the new ball in hand. But that'll soften it up a bit quicker, take the lacquer off. A couple more shots like that. There's something a little bit more hostile. I'm always moderately baffled by this plan, Cameron, because let's say, for example, Jordan Thompson was in there with George Hill, Matt Revis. That flies through to folks the hardness of the new ball. They'd be looking to nick him off, wouldn't they? Whereas instead they're sort of treating him as if he's Viv Richards, and at the other end is Courtney Walsh. Stabbed into the ground. It's good to see the skipper there under the lid, isn't it?
I've always been impressed by Burns because he's the first to go under the lid, that short leg. You both kind of don't really get to see anything. You see he's got his sun hat underneath his top. It's quite unusual at the moment, the Surrey skipper.
It's rather uncomfortable, doesn't it, generally speaking?
That's even before the ball's bowled.
Oh, another bouncer, which is sort of rather flinched away from by Thompson. There's one ball left in the over, so are we going to see a change in field from Rory Burns? He's going to want to keep Jack White on strike against Jordan Clark. A short ball probably. We haven't had one signal for over shoulder height, I don't think. Maybe one, but not the 2. So he's still got another bouncer in him. He's got to direct it well if he's going to keep Thompson at that end. And instead, offers him a little push into the offside for a single. 229 for 9 at the end of the over. We were positing how many new balls have ever been, the most number of new balls ever been taken. It's a sort of thing our minds drift towards. Andrew Sampson, what have you got for us?
It's much easier to do what was the longest innings ever.
Yes.
Because we don't have details of that, and it's a very famous innings. Here in 1938.
903 for 7 declared.
903 for 7 declared that England made against Australia. Hutton 364. And that innings was 335.2 overs.
Is that the longest innings in first-class cricket?
Yep. So if they'd taken one every 80 overs, as the current rules
There
are...
would have been 5.
Well, there would have been a 6th... the last one was the 6th one, including the first one. Or did I do something wrong in the maths?
Yes. He's gone after that. Fielder underneath it. Takes the catch. And that is the victory for Surrey by an innings and 28 runs. Thompson looking to be aggressive. Jordan Clark finishing off the innings. His 4th wicket, 4 for 45 he finishes with. And Yorkshire have lost their last 4 wickets this morning for just 21 runs from the fall of the 7th wicket. Surrey absolutely delighted. Nathan Smith making his home debut for Surrey. Very happy with his work in this match. Jordan Clark getting hugs from Dominic Sibley, the rest of the side, because he has been probably the player of this match. 4 wickets in the second innings, 3 in the first. Got a half century with the bat in Surrey's mammoth total. And in the end, Surrey have comprehensively defeated Yorkshire in this clash between the 2 most storied county championship sides in history. Stumps are being removed, and that's it. The game is over, and it's happened in something of a rush, Cameron Ponsonby, because Yorkshire began this morning very well. 40 minutes. They resisted very well with Revis and Bairstow, and then when Revis was out, that really just precipitated a rapid decline as Surrey saunter off, having gained themselves most of a day of rest. And it is something to bear in mind because their next match is Essex starting on Friday, so they won't have to put too many overs in their bowlers' legs. Jason Roy there with the skipper, having played his first red ball fixture at the Oval for quite some time. The crowd standing in the Mickey Stewart members' pavilion and applauding as Rory Burns leaves his team off. And there, Ryan Patel, who took the big wicket of Johnny Bairstow, bowled him with an absolute beauty. Bowling really because Dan Lawrence was unavailable for Surrey, but this team, they just find a way. And my word, they have been dominant in this match from the moment they won the toss and bowled for the 16th consecutive time in the county championship match here at the Kia Oval. Bowling out Yorkshire for 250 odd on the first day, and then finishing that day 40 for none. As we take a look at Yorkshire's attempt to build something of a rear guard, well, Wharton and Bairstow, the standouts, had a very fine partnership yesterday which really held Surrey up, but then when Wharton was out, bowled with beauty from Fisher, and then there's 2 wickets in 2 balls, Hill and Buckingham snared by Laws late yesterday. That was really when the writing was on the wall. Bairstow was the one last hope for Yorkshire, but he was undone by Ryan Patel. And those Surrey bowling figures, a wicket for Smith, a wicket for Fisher, but 3 for Laws, 3 for 47 and 4 for 45 from Jordan Clark, who is Surrey's leading wicket taker this season there. That wicket for Ryan Patel, which has caused him so much glee and mirth today, getting the big wicket of Johnny Bairstow. As you see at the bottom there, those last 4 wickets falling for 21 runs. So haven't even made it to lunch. I don't know if we'll make it to lunch. But the match summary will show you what a dominant performance that's been. Surrey having to bat just the once, making 512 in reply to Yorkshire's 255. 7 wickets in the match for Jordan Clark for just 76 runs, and 6 wickets for Tom Laws. For Surrey, actually the contributors in the first innings, 86 and 85 from Patterson, but what that story doesn't tell you is that every batter got into double figures for Surrey. It was a remorseless effort. And they win by an innings and 28 runs, and that confirms that they're now up to second in the table, just 3 points behind Nottinghamshire, having won 2 matches. They remain unbeaten. Nottinghamshire are currently unbeaten, but they are in a spotted bother against Durham, so that's just the 1 match that's left outstanding. Durham, if they win, would shoot up to 4th with 80 points. Nottinghamshire, if they can draw, would get a little buffer. They go up to 104 points, giving them an 11-point lead over Surrey. But Surrey, despite having those claggy draws in away games, they're just now starting to put a lot of pressure on Nottinghamshire. The surprise early leaders. And we have international cricket coming up, of course, this week on Sky Sports in Canterbury. England play the West Indies in a T20, their first outing under Charlotte Edwards, the new coach. Coverage starts at 6 p.m. on Sky Sports Cricket. And on Thursday, the first test match England have played against Zimbabwe in a long time, a one-off test at Trent Bridge. Our coverage starts at 10 a.m. It's a 4-day match, that, be absolutely clear, a 4-day match. So, just before we say goodbye, we can announce that at the Oval, we've broken the record. It's the highest crowd this century. 14,853 have turned up for this match. A match that has been dominated by Surrey, the champions, as they look to hunt down a 4th consecutive title. It's been great fun bringing it with you, alongside Andrew Sampson, Cameron Ponsonby, Alli Brown, Adam Collins, Yas Rana and the crew. Until next time, from all of us here, goodbye.